Welcome to episode 26. I am Danielle Amos, and this is the Prosperity Practice, the podcast that helps you live your most abundant life. Well, today I want to talk about the past couple weeks that I've had. Really, I want to talk about what's been going on over here in our life once my husband got attached to an idea. And if you missed it, I started to share what was happening on an earlier podcast. And then last week, I got so wrapped up in what he was doing and really wanted to support him that you may have noticed that there weren't any podcasts. And this is why. So one thing, I've been watching him because it's really interesting. You know, my husband's an actor. He studies this material with us. And one morning we were listening to our Bob Proctor lesson, and he had an idea to take an online event. And well, he actually had an idea to create an online event because the lesson was all about really being creative and finding solutions. And, you know, when something isn't going your way, really making lemonade out of lemons. And he overheard me teaching and working with one of my clients where I helped her diversify her business so that it could still thrive during this time. And here's the thing, you know, those businesses that are willing to change and adapt will thrive. If we're waiting until all this is over, it may never go back to the way things ever were. So, and I hope actually they don't, because then I believe then all of this time is wasted. It's instead we've got to learn, and there's always a better way of doing things. And so anyway, my husband overheard a conversation that I was having with one of my clients, and you can actually find it in our free community, Mastering Your Mindset. And from there, and studying in the morning, he had this idea because he was to see some fans at some Comic-Con type events, and they were canceled, obviously, and he decided that he wanted to take that experience and put it online to still connect and create an online community so people knew that they weren't alone. And it was really interesting to see what happened next. So we brought together some people that he thought would be into the idea, and we started masterminding. And this is a really important part because Paul, like I shared earlier, Paul was, you know, saying how, well, I can't do this because la, 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 la. And his mind was giving him all different reasons why. Like, I'm just an actor. You know, I don't know how to create the website or whatever. And here's the thing, all things come to you when you need it, but first you have to decide that you are going to do it, and then the resources show up. And so often we make decisions based on the resources we have right now, and that's not a smart way to make a decision. The only reason you make a decision is if you have a desire to do it or to have it or to be it. And so Paul obviously had the desire, and so he said, yes, okay, I want to do this event. And I saw something change in him once he got connected and really fueled that desire. He was hopping out of bed way before me, which is not usually the case, and going to work on this project, and like he had so much enthusiasm and energy. And I want you to think back at any point in your life where when you've really decided that you want something and how it seemed to almost overpower you. And I've noticed this in people, you know, if you're not jumping out of bed in the morning, perhaps look at your goal. Ask yourself, am I really going after something that I want? Am I really attached to a C-type goal, or am I settling? because I really believe, and watching Paul the past couple of weeks has confirmed this, that when we have a strong desire, we hop out of bed. And so if you don't go back to what do you want and make sure it's big enough, make sure it's a C-type goal, something you don't know how to do, something that's going to stretch you and grow you. And what's really interesting is all those things that Paul was worried about that he didn't know how to do. Well, guess what? He attracted people that's exactly what they knew to do. It was really interesting to watch. It was also interesting to watch the energy of the group. So many people, I would say 97% of the population are controlled by their senses. So when it looks like they're getting the results they want, they're in a good mood, or they're optimistic about a project. But if the results aren't quite there, then they get down. So let's talk about sales. So think about this. If you have a goal and you want to reach the goal by the end of the month, and that first week you have really great sales and your attitude's amazing. You have great thoughts, your energy, you feel great, and you're taking action. But let's say the second week in your business, you have very low sales. Most people, their energy reflects their current results. So they base how they feel because of what the current results are. But see, that's just because we're so attached to our senses. But what if we followed what all the great thinkers have told us? And you can go to science or even theology and religion, and they all say the same thing. They say, go inside, live from the inside out. And so on Paul's project, I noticed people's attitude really, they were affected by what was happening. And so I did a little exercise with them and had them see the potential. And I actually did the exercise with Paul first so that he could get some ideas in order to change the results. See, if the results on the outside aren't what you want right now, you've got to take responsibility and say, okay, well, that's because of my thinking. Nothing can happen on the outside that first didn't start on the inside. So I had him address and take responsibility for his thinking and then change that thinking to what he wants. And then from there, that thinking produces a different result. So if right now I'm getting a result that I don't want, I can just say, okay, well, that's interesting. It's just because of the way I was thinking yesterday or 2 days ago or a week ago. And I can change that. So I can control my thoughts. I can control my attitude. So Paul did that, and I saw like the very next day, or maybe it was 2 days later, the results started shifting. And we're working on a very tight timeline here. Like it was, a week, and the event was just a couple days ago. So we saw things moving quite quickly, which also meant that we had to be very consciously aware of the thinking that was behind the activity, or the energy that was behind the activity that everyone was taking. And we had to really move quickly. The universe loves speed anyway. Can you relate to this? Like, is this helpful? Because it was very inspiring to watch. And so the event that Paul had, what they created was called HomeCon. And they had, like over 30 actors involved, thousands of viewers. They received articles in Entertainment Weekly. Like really cool stuff happened. And it all started with one idea that Paul decided to take action on. Now, the truth is, ideas are very interesting because they come to you because you can execute it. They come to you because it's for you. Like a desire is yours. You wouldn't have the idea or the desire if you couldn't achieve it. And here's the thing with ideas. If you don't act, ideas are thought energy, right? So if you don't act, the ideas are in the ether, in the air. So if you don't act, someone else will pick up on that idea. How many times have you had an idea and then, a few months later, you see something like that happening? Like, that's pretty common. That's because ideas are in the ether. And I believe that, if you have it, it's for you. But if you don't take advantage of it, it will just pass you by. Really interesting. One of the other things I noticed was the persistence. So because the desire was so strong in Paul to see this event succeed, he overcame obstacles and situations, and sort of the whole team, that required persistence. So the vision of the event needed to be very, very clear so that they could get on the other side and not compromise and break through any limiting beliefs or fear or any of that obstacles and maybe doubt or worry. They had to break free and stay committed to the vision of the event. And that required persistence. Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich that persistence, quality of persistence, is like what carbon is to steel. It's essential. And so this whole team actually had to constantly overcome obstacles, and that's where the growth was. And it was very cool to see on the other side of that, they became more confident, more resilient. And I believe the event itself became better and better. And they had to make sure that they weren't playing it safe. They had to bet on the success of the event and do things before they were ready. Really interesting. So I want you to think back, how does this relate in your life? And think about what you're committed to right now. Do you have a burning desire for what you want? And if not, it's okay. Stay objective and go back and take pen to paper and write out what you want and make it bigger. And ask yourself, like, what is it that I truly want, and how would that feel in a universe where everything's possible? What is it? What do I really want? And from there, ask yourself, are you willing to be persistent? Are you willing to do whatever it takes? Are you willing to say yes before you're ready? Are you willing to take risks? Are you willing to jump with that faith that everything comes when you need it? Are you really, really willing to put it all on the line? And that's what I saw Paul do. His whole reputation was on the line. And so once he said yes and announced it, he couldn't take it back. It was all over social media. Interesting. So that brings me to another point, which would be accountability. He made himself accountable by announcing it before there was anything to announce, really, before there was any product, before they figured out the how. And that kept him accountable to achieving the result in a very short period of time. And then that became the problem that his mind had to solve. So that goal became the problem that his mind had to solve. So ask yourself, what are you focused on? Are you focused on the result? How you can do something? And are you committed to solving it? And once you say yes and you make that committed decision, then the ideas come. And then you can start asking yourself, how, what do you need? Who do you need? And I know Paul was using the power of visualization. He was using gratitude. The whole team was using gratitude to stay focused on what was possible and to really empower the team. And he was visualizing the whole weekend before it happened and how much it meant to the fans and the community, the actors involved. See, here's the thing. The universe operates by law. And we want to work with that power. We want to work with the power. And by understanding that law, well, when we're working in harmony with the laws, things flow. And there's like a momentum and an ease, not easy, but an ease, a confidence. Very interesting to watch and to be in. So I got involved and, it was very exciting. So I'm sharing this with you because there is something to learn. I mean, there's always something to learn. And so if everything originates in the mind, I want you to take this time and focus on your goal and really, really get excited and clear on what you want. And if it doesn't excite you, it's not big enough. So make your goal bigger. Fuel that desire, fan that fire. And commit, make a committed decision that you'll do what it takes to achieve the goal. And once you make that decision, then you jump in and you shut the back door and you keep yourself accountable to achieving that goal. And you break through the fear. You use your tools like visualization, repetition. Get yourself in the energy of the goal achieved. And as things come up, you act from as if it's already achieved. You act from that place. You be that person. And it's magical. And let me tell you, if Paul can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I'd love to hear from you because I'd really love to hear if this resonates or this helps you, because this is what I know is that each one of you has an idea. Each one of you has an idea, and perhaps you're acting on it and perhaps you're not. What if you jumped today? You jumped full in with both feet and you declared that goal. You shut the back door. Imagine where you'd be in 6 months. Knowing that you can't fail. The only way you fail is if you quit. And if you make the decision you're not willing to quit, that you'll have persistence no matter what. Wow, where would your life be in 6 months? Now, is it going to be easy? No. Will it be rewarding? Yes. Reach out. Let me know if this resonates, because now is the time. Well, you have time. We all do. Now is the time. This is when innovation, when new things will be created. Go inside. Get connected to who you are. And listen to that idea. It's your idea for a reason. Jump in. And if you're looking for mentorship and help with keeping your mind focused on what you want and not in doubt, worry, or fear, reach out. We have tools that can help you. There's always something that can help you. So with that, I say, expect abundance. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions, or like I said, if it resonates, please share this. I've promised that I'll interview Rachel and Paul about the event too, because they learn so much about themselves. And I know that you can really learn from it. So if you'd like to hear from them, I'd love to hear that. That would be a podcast you'd listen to. Send me questions. That's why I'm here. Let's connect at _Danielle_Amos_ on Instagram. And please share this podcast if it resonates, because I know that others want to hear it. I know that others need to hear it. I know there's so many of you with ideas that are just waiting for a sign. Let this be your sign that idea is a good idea, and go for it. Have a wonderful day and expect abundance.